Continuing to tell stories of shortage only continues to contradict your desire for abundance, and you cannot have it both ways. You cannot focus upon unwanted and receive wanted. You cannot focus upon stories about money that make you feel uncomfortable and allow into your experience what makes you feel comfortable. A different story will bring different results. My thoughts are the basis for the attraction of all things that I consider to be good, which includes enough money and health for my comfort and joy. This is a quote from one of my favorite mentors, Abraham Hicks, and it follows along the theme that I've been telling myself recently. You cannot change the trajectory of your life by continuing to tell the same story over and over and over again. So I've been thinking to myself, how do I change that story in my head? How do I continue to live in the reality that I'm living now, but still believe in a different reality, still live in the reality that I want to live in, not focusing so much on what is, but focusing on the desires that I want for my life? That's what I want to talk about in this video today. It is changing the story that you tell yourself over and over and over in order to live a better life. So if you find yourself with a lot of negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, sad stories that you're telling yourself over and over and over again, this video is going to help you to do what I'm currently doing in my life, shifting the narrative that's telling, itself over and over in my head so that I can shift what my outer world looks like. Because I do firmly believe that your life starts with your subconscious and you manifest the things that are already in your mind, because I do believe that thoughts are things, and if you want something different, you can think your way into something different. Everything that we are living currently right now, everything that we're able to, experience and touch and taste and smell, those are things that were once in our thoughts. That's one of my beliefs, that we manifest the life that we desire. You can talk about socialization and your parents' input and society's input and all of that, but I do believe that not everything is left up to chance and society. We do have autonomy, we have control over the life that we live, and if we want to change the life that we are living, we can change it by starting to believe a different story. It does take some mental magic, some mental muscle work there to change that story, because especially when you're talking to your friends, you're talking to whoever, and they ask how are things, the first thing that you do is to repeat the reality that you're already living, and therefore you keep yourself in that cycle of the reality you're already living. So it does take some amount of actual muscle, some actual work to start telling yourself a different story, and therefore start telling other people different story, to kind of practice that. And so I wanted to talk about that today. Now, side note, just for my viewers who have stuck out with me, you may have come for Mexican content or travel content, but you're still here, still rocking with me. I really and truly want to give a heartfelt shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for still being here with me. Even though you came for travel content and all that exciting stuff I was doing in the previous videos, travel content is coming back very, very soon. So that's a little treat for staying with me for so long, because we are about to move on to a different location again, and I'm so super excited to bring you along. So thank you for staying with me all throughout as the channel went through kind of a shift, and I'm just sharing with you some of the inner thoughts and conversations that I've been having in my head. I think these conversations are conversations that I would want to have with my 40-year-old friends, just some of the things that we go through as we shift life. And so I feel every time I turn on my camera and I share one of these kind of stories about mental gymnastics that we go through in life, I feel like I'm talking to my friends. And so thank you all for rocking with me and just rocking out in the comments. I really appreciate that you stayed with me. So let's talk today about telling yourself a different story so that you can change your life. So one of the stories that I keep repeating, like I repeated this story a lot last year, is, the devastating loss of one of my main sources of income and how it changed that whole Mexico magic that was supposed to be happening. Girl uproots her family, moves to Mexico for a different life experience. That was going wonderfully until it wasn't. And that is a story that I beat to death last year. And it's therefore no surprise to me that last year kind of had highs and lows, but I did not grasp onto another stable source of income like I really and truly wanted to, because I was repeating this story of how I lost my source of income last year. And so if I keep repeating that same story over and over and over, that is what is going to manifest in my outer world over and over and over and over and over, because I truly believe, as I said before, that our thoughts create our reality. And so that focus and that repetition of storytelling that we believe and we keep telling ourselves and telling our friends is what is manifesting in our actual life. So this year is not going to be the same. That is the last time you will ever hear me say those words out of my mouth. Okay. I'm shifting that negative story and I'm accepting a new story into my life. And so in this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that shifting method of how we can shift and change the reality of our life by changing first the reality in our mind. Because you cannot focus upon unwanted and receive wanted, like Abraham Hicks says. So if you're one of those girlies that, you keep telling yourself, oh, man no good man no there road, or good things never happen to me, good relationships never happen to me. Hopefully this video is going to change the way that you think so that you can change that reality. Because as I said, you have to start with your mindset first. Everything starts with our mind first. They say that the people who invented all of these wonderful things that we use every day in modern society, it all started in they had an idea. It all started in their mind first. And it's that idea that they had that they were brilliant enough and had enough follow through to bring it to reality. And we can do the same thing with our life. Now, Abraham Hicks, if you've ever listened to her before, you hear this story a lot. You cannot turn your radio dial to 95.1 FM, which is Fame FM in Jamaica, my favorite radio station, and hear the weather or hear traffic reports or hear anything other than what they play. You cannot tune your radio station to X and get Y. You cannot plant tomato seeds in the ground and get petunias. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't really work that way. You have to be on the same frequency of the thing that you desire. So if you want to hear Fame 95 FM, you want to tune your radio dial to that radio station so you can hear exactly that. If you want to reap tomatoes, you have to plant tomato seeds or tomato seedlings. It's kind of like the same thing. If I want a more prosperous life, I have to get off the frequency of whatever happened in the past, because whatever happened in the past has already manifested. And if I keep saying that story over and over, it's going to keep manifesting, and you find yourself in that cycle. That is how we find ourselves in such a cyclical life cycle, by the way, is keeping repeating the same story. And I spoke about this in my last video. Like, I don't believe that life was meant to be lived. You get up and you live your same day for 40 years and then boom, you magically retire and hope to live a new life. Like, life is cyclical, but I want to shorten those cycles so that we can have many beautiful experiences within this one short lifetime that we all get to live. And so what I'm doing is practicing, is realizing that I have to change that story that I'm telling in my mind in order to change the reality for myself. And I have to shorten and tweak that story that I'm telling. I have to get on the frequency of the life that I want to live in order to see it manifest. So how exactly do you do that? The first thing that you want to do is identify the story that you want to change. So I've already shared with you my story that I want to change. I'm doing away with the story of how I lost whatever I lost. I don't lose it already. Come off of the story. Get that out of your head. Let us shift and focus on something new, because What your mind focuses on, that's what you achieve. So let us focus on what we want to achieve instead of focusing on what already has happened. The past is done and gone. We can't go back and change it. Let's just focus on the present or what we want to achieve. And so it's your turn. What is a story that is recurring in your life that you really and truly want to change? You know, a lot of people say that you have to like journal it out, talk therapy it out, go back and heal your inner child, do the shadow work. There are all these like strategies and ways that people tell us that we have to do these things in order to get here. And one of the things I admire and love about Abraham Hicks is that they will tell you that you don't have to do none of that. Start from where you are here today. You're here now. Let's focus ahead. Let's not go back and try to do and heal and think upon and beat to death. Let us start here where we are today and move ahead. It's just like, again, with another Abraham Hicks analogy. If you are trying to go from New York to California and you are in the middle, you are in Chicago, and you realize that you made a mistake with the route that you wanted to take to get to Chicago, does it make sense to go back to New York and start again? You're already in Chicago, baby. Move ahead. You know, you might have taken the scenic route when you really wanted to take the quickest route, but you made it to Chicago. We are here now. It's time to move ahead. Let us not focus on the path that we took to get here. We are here right now. How can we get to California? What is the route that we now want to take to get to California? Huh? All right. So now that you've identified that story that you want to change, the next exercise, and yes, I have my notes here so you see me. The next exercise is to write down these thoughts, because you know I'm big on journaling and writing down, right? So write down those thoughts. If it's one story, that's cool. Write down maybe, you know, people like to categorize their life. So write down the 5 most common thoughts that you have about the major categories of your life. So that would be money, love, health, success, you know, whatever those major categories of your life are. If you want to do like a whole life shift, write down your beliefs, your thoughts, those recurring thoughts about money that you have, about love, about relationships, about success, about your health. Like, I keep telling myself that I keep getting bigger and bigger, and guess what is happening right now? I keep getting bigger and bigger. I'm working on that story too, but let us start with story number 1 for me. I like to focus on one thing at a time. So if you want to write down all the stories that you have been telling yourself that you know these stories do not serve you anymore, what are some new stories that you can tell? So let us shift the conversation now. You've identified the stories that you want to change, the stories that do not make any sense for you, the stories that you need to stop. How can you now shift those stories? And how do you know if those stories are stories that you need to change? While writing down these stories, what are the emotions that come up for you? Like, if you know you want to change your money story, write down your thoughts on how you feel about money right now. Are you one of those people who think that, you know, your parents brought you up in a very strict or a very poor or a very whatever environment? Are you one of those people that think that, oh, money don't grow on trees, and so, you know, I have to save and scrimp and whatever? Are you one of those people that think that, oh, these things are only for rich people and I'll never be rich, so let me not look at these things, you know? What is your money story? And while you're writing it down, how does it make you feel? Does this story actually keep you in alignment? Do you feel good? If you are writing down money doesn't grow on trees and you think that that is a good strategy for saving for you, then that doesn't need to be changed. If it actually, you're writing it down, it makes you feel good, that's a good story. Keep that story. What we want to change is the stories that we're writing it down and it feels kind of that's misalignment. Anytime you're writing down a story or a thought, a belief that you have, and you realize that this story don't feel good, I don't like this story, I want to change this story, that is a misalignment, and we need to change that story in order to now bring about something that feels better. Because if it feels better in our mind, or it will reflect on our outer reality. So let's go into the shift method now of how we're going to change that story. So you catch your negative self-talk. You've identified the stories, the life themes in your life that you want to change. Now we're going to rewrite it. Now, you can rewrite it very positively if you want. A lot of us, that's a stretch. So we might just make it a little bit more neutral. Take out the negative energy out the story, make it a little bit more neutral. So if you have a conversation in your head that, I'm so bad with money. Every time I get a big money, I just spend it off. How about we start changing that story to, I'm learning to manage my money more and more every day. You see how that's not such a bad shift? It doesn't mean I'm now good with money. It just means that I'm learning. Every day I'm learning a little bit more. And the more you start to realize, the more you start to believe that story, the more you start to repeat it to yourself and focus on that story, is the more you actually take the actions. It starts in the mind and then you take the actions. So you start to tell yourself, I'm learning better money management skills every day. And then you find yourself reading more articles that actually align with that. You start to realize that you download a few budgeting apps and you're actually taking the steps to learn better money management every single day. You start to watch videos on stocks and Roth and IRA and all the things, and you actually start living that life of better money management. And soon you're changing that story and you're saying, wow, I'm such a good saver. I'm such a good budgeter. I'm so good with stocks. Soon the story actually changes, but it started with just that little step of tweaking it from I'm so bad with money to I'm learning how to make better money decisions every day. You see what I'm saying? So you reinforce that story daily. You write it down. I'm big on the journaling thing. You start your journaling session every morning with your new affirmation. I'm getting so much better with money management every single day. And then you write, whatever it is that you wanted to write in your journal that day. But don't go back in that journal repeating all the old stories. I am learning in my big age and how many years that I've been journaling. I am learning how to use my journal differently these days by not writing the same old stories in the journal every day. I used to have a habit of, in my journal, I'm just writing about what happened in my day. And so it was like a diary. And I've decided to stop that because I'm telling myself the same stories over and over and over. Now I am using my journal to shift my mindset. And so I'm writing about the things I'm focusing on. I'm practicing better money management so that I will have, the freedom to do this and that and that and that and that. You get what I'm saying? Like, let's not focus on the past. We're focusing on the future. Everything in this world is energy. I'm sure you've heard that somewhere before. This is not a new concept to you. You know what else is energy? Thoughts. Thoughts are energy. They create energy. And that energy, that new energy that you have, that you're now establishing that new story for yourself, and you start to tell people that new story. So people will ask you now, hey Mo, how things going? And instead of saying, Lord God, me now have nowhere to live, you start to say, oh hey girl, I'm in Florida, I've been staying with my friends and it's been so beautiful. That's another story that I have been shifting out of for me. It would be easy for me to tell people that, girl, I'm homeless, but I have nowhere to live right now, because technically, I ain't got a home. But I've never told that story because I've chosen to focus on the positive and be grateful for the abundance of friends that I have who have invited us into their home, and they've said, you can stay for as long as you want. And so obviously I could have gone back to Jamaica a long time ago. This is the path that I'm walking. We're eventually going to go back to Jamaica, but I've been able to take my sweet time to kind of lay the foundation that I want to go back to Jamaica with. And I feel so blessed and grateful to be able to do that. And so that is a story that is a recurring theme in these videos as well, because it's a story that I'm working on in my head, that I have a beautiful home in which to lay my head at every night. It's a beautifully decorated home. It is in a place with beautiful weather. I love my home, and so I reinforce that story every day. And I know that when the home is actually my home, it will be because I've told myself this story over and over and over. And when people call me and they ask me how things are, I say the same things. I say I'm in Florida, I've been enjoying myself, I've been having a wonderful time reconnecting with friends, and in some beautiful spaces and places. And I know that story is manifesting. It's manifested, because that's exactly what's happening, and it will continue to manifest. And when I get back to Jamaica, it will be in a beautiful home in a place with warm weather, and it will just be beautifully decorated, because that's exactly how, I'm looking forward to that part so much. So again, thoughts create reality, and the more and more I focus on my beautiful home, the beautiful home that I'm staying in right now, is the more I focus on that, is the more I know I'm creating the reality of the beautiful home I'm creating for myself and my baby girl when we do get back to Jamaica. And that is a beautiful thought for me. So I live in gratitude right now for the fact that there is no rush. I didn't have to go back to Jamaica and get something that I didn't want. I've been able to stay with friends and get our footing together. And when I do go back to Jamaica, it will be a beautiful experience. It will be exactly what I want it to be, because I have focused so much on just creating that reality that I want for us when we do get back to Jamaica. And the closer it gets, the more excited I get, which is building momentum. I love that for me. So the whole point and purpose of this video is just to reinforce for you that changing your thought is changing your life. If you want to change any area of your life right now, it starts with changing your thought. It starts with creating a new story for you. Remember that you get to create your life, and you can do so with your thoughts. So make your life amazing. You get to decide what's true for you. You get to decide what's true for you. You get to decide the life that you live. Make it amazing. If there's something in your life right now that is less than amazing, it starts with your thought process. Start telling yourself a new story, focusing on that new story, telling people that new story, making it real, making it tangible, making it believable, and watch how the actions start to come in to play. Because the more that I live this story of I'm in a beautiful home with beautiful friends, is the more I start to see the actions come into play of how I can make it the reality that I really want it to be when I get to Jamaica. And I just know this stuff works, and that's why I was so inclined to come and say, like, if you've been following my journey since leaving Mexico, I've been saying I need to start telling myself a new story. And so this is the work that I've been doing while we've been here in Florida, just kind of changing my mindset, working on some stuff. And let me tell you, I can see the difference that it's making. I feel the difference that it's making. I see my life changing, and the story that I am telling myself in my head come to life, come to be. And so I just wanted to share that with you. So if this resonates with you, if you like the way the conversations have been going on this channel, please make sure to leave a comment in the comment box down below. Let's have a little chit chat on changing the stories. If you're so inclined, tell me one area of your life that you would like to shift your story, and let's see how we can come up with some creative ways to change your story so that you can have someone to have that conversation with. Because sometimes we feel cute, sometimes we don't want to tell our friends the new story that we want to tell ourselves. We want to work on it maybe internally first, and so that's why I talk a lot about journaling. But sometimes it helps to talk about it with someone new, someone who doesn't know the old story. So when you tell them the new story, it feels completely natural. So my comment section is open for that if you want to tell me the new story, and so I can congratulate you on it, and you can start to mellow and sit in that new story. That's a great way to get that going for you. My name is Monique from Kingston. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.